got stuck. Stop sharing. Share screen. Entire mess. Share. Yes. So this the second subtopic in education psychology. We started with individual differences, with the concept, types of individual differences, and the areas: intelligence, aptitude, attitude, interest, personality. Having mentioned, we started with the intelligence. In the first session, we have seen these definitions of intelligence, and then started with the theories, unifactor and two factor we have done, and then in yesterday's session we have seen detail the multi-factor theory by Thorndike and group factor theory by Thurston. And the specialty of Thurston theory is for almost most of the aptitude tests, it is the theory base for the development of aptitude tests apart from intelligence. And then the latest modern or the comprehensive theory of intelligence is the structure of intelligence theory by Guilford. This also we have seen. According to him, the three special aspects, namely contents, operations, and products, do influence the intelligence of an individual. Whereas we have the five types of content: symbolic, semantic, visual, auditory, and behavioral. The abbreviation to remember is SSVAB. And another five types of operations: cognition, memory, convergent thinking, divergent thinking, and evaluation. Whereas the mnemonic CMCDE. And products, six types, namely U for units, classes, relations, implications, systems, and transformations. UCRIST is the mnemonic. Up till that we have seen, and also we have covered in yesterday types of intelligence. The three types of intelligence, namely concrete, abstract, and social intelligence, as given by your ladies representative Thorndike. All right. So don't discuss with your friends Thorndike is a ladies representative. I have told that in the context of remembering the four areas according to Thorndike what determines the intelligence of an individual. Ladies represent LR, L for level, R for range, S for speed, and A for area. Okay, that's it. All right, and the test devised by Thorndike to assess intelligence is CAVD test, where C stands for sentence completion, A for arithmetic ability, V for verbal ability, and D for directions, that is ability to follow directions. Even today, if you see the mental ability and logical reasoning, by and large, these questions from these areas are most common and prominent. So with that background, now we will move on as announced yesterday with the assessment of intelligence or the intelligence tests. Alfred Binet from France is known as the father of measurement of intelligence, or the father of intelligence measurement movement. Why not just simply he was called? There is a great contribution. He is the one who has come out with the first intelligence test in 1905, Binet test of intelligence, and which he has revised with his colleague Simon in 1908. Another 3 years of work put together Binet-Simon test of intelligence. And then 1911, Alfred Binet, Binet Stanford. Binet is from France, and after another 3 years, he collaborated with American Stanford University, and in 1911, he came out with the one of the comprehensive earliest tests of intelligence called Stanford Binet test of intelligence. And not only that, another important contribution of Binet is the person who gave for the first time the concept of mental age. Until then, even today, popularly popularly known the physical age, or the physiological age, or the real age, or the age calculated from your date of birth. But as far as intelligence is concerned, it is mental age matters. The now popular IQ, intelligence quotient, is also depends on, because it is defined as the ratio between mental age and chronological age, technically called chronological age, otherwise it is nothing but the physical age. All right, the ratio between chronological age, the mental age and the chronological age, is nothing but the IQ, intelligence quotient, is multiplied by 100, of course. All right, IQ is equal to MA by CA into 100, where MA is the mental age and CA stand for the chronological age into 100. All right, but who gave this concept of IQ? Not the Binet. Binet said only what? Mental age. Binet gave the concept of only mental age, but it is Stern who gave the concept of IQ. Remember, these three names will be there as an alternatives whenever they ask the question about mental age or IQ. The concept of IQ was given by option 1 Binet, option 2 Terman, option 3 Stern, option 4 Guilford.
Stern.
Yeah. If it is the question about IQ, concept of IQ, Stern. If the question is about who gave the concept of mental age, the same
Alfred
options.
Binet.
Yes, the answer goes to Alfred Binet. So Binet for the first time gave the concept of mental age. Initially, concept of IQ was not there, and later on, the Stern is a person who has divided the mental age by chronological age and multiplied with 100 to avoid the decimals, and thereby you are arriving at some whole number as IQ. Right. And the third is DSC level question is the formula to calculate IQ is equal to MA by CA into 100, CA by MA into 100, MA by CA plus 100, CA by MA plus 100. But at your level, I'm not expecting that. But what you can expect at your level is, yes, some applied question like this may be given. If 8 years boy solved all the problems meant for the average 10 years children, what is his IQ? He did not directly said mental age is this, chronological age is this. But looking at the description, we can identify what is the mental age of this 8 years boy. 8 years boy solved all the problems meant for average 10 years children. What is the mental age? Problems meant for 10 years he has solved, therefore his mental age is 10 years. But in the description said if a 8 years boy, so his chronological age or the physical age or the real age is 8 years. Therefore, now his IQ is equal to MA by CA into 100, where MA mental age is 10 by CA chronological age is 8 into 100. All right, let's put some X as into with a space into 100. Now 10 no into 100, 8 and 100, 4 2 ja 8, 4 25 ja 2 1 ja 2 5 ja 5 25 ja 125. Otherwise, in your own notes, do all these calculation steps. IQ is equal to MA by CA into 100, where this MA is mental age 10 years, because he solved the problems meant for average 10 years children. So therefore, his intellectual capacity is at that level called 10 years age. So MA is 10 and CA is 8. Therefore, IQ is equals to 10 by 8 into 100, which is, if you do cancellations, 2 4 ja 2 5 ja 4 1 ja 4 25 ja 5 into 25 125. The boy IQ is 125, which shows superior IQ. This we will come a little later, how come it is superior and all that. That is the classification of IQ. Superior, okay, average, below average, above average. Now a typical question may be asked is, who gave the concept of classification of IQ? Binet, Terman, Stern, Guilford. Any idea? It is the Terman. Okay, Stern gave IQ concept, Binet gave mental age concept, and classification is by Terman. All right, okay. Before that, now a further difficult level, particularly deputy EO or diet B.Ed faculty recruitment level, combining two or more concepts he will give. Now what do I mean when I say combining two or more concepts he will be giving? For example, this question, if a 8 years old boy solved all the problems meant for the average 10 years children, his IQ belongs to the following range. Option 1, average. Option 2, above average. Option 3, superior. Option 4, genius. Now what he is expecting from you? He is expecting your understanding of IQ concept, calculation of IQ, and classification of IQ in single question. Now anyway, we have solved, we have the answer 125. 125 is 90 to 110, you all, I hope you remember, that is average, and 110 to 130, superior. So therefore the answer superior or very high. Superior or high or very high. It depends on the classifications. That will be the right answer. All right. So the second question here I have for you is, if an 8 years old boy solved the problems meant for 6 years old but could not do okay, just a minute, couldn't do the work meant for 7 years old, what is this IQ? What is his IQ or her IQ? His or her IQ. Now see, to confuse you, more numbers given, 8, 6 and 7. Now tell me, what is, formula is the same, IQ is equal to MA by CA into 100. Now what is his mental age? What is the mental age? 8 years boy, understand it is physical age is 8 years. Solve the problems meant for 6 years old. Could not do the work meant for 7 years. Could not do, cannot be his mental age. Therefore it's not 7. He could do, he could solve. Therefore his mental age is 6 years. Therefore MA by CA, 6 by CA, 8 years into 100, 6 by 8 into 100. So come on, somebody calculate and give me the answer. 8, 4, 2 ja, 4, 25 ja, 2, 1 ja, 2, 3 ja, 3, 25 ja.
8, 75.
Yes, perfect. 75. Now as I said, if you want to give a combination of question, if an 8 years old boy solved the problems meant for the 6 years old but could not do the work meant for 7 years old, his IQ belongs to the following category. Option 1, average. Option 2, above average. Option 3, below average. Option 4, mentally challenged. Now what do you say? Sir, what is this mentally challenged? These three at least, okay. Yeah, mentally challenged. Below 70, we count mentally challenged. Or even if you see any book below 75, 70, 75, 80, these are the three cutoff ranges I've used. That we will go a little later, but otherwise we are all familiar with this classification. 90 to 110 average, just above that 110 to 130, above average or superior, high, different names are used. Above 130, genius, gifted, and just below average, 70 to 90, below average, below 70, mentally challenged. Again, you have 4 categories. When we go there, we will see that. All right. Yes. So this boy IQ is 75, which shows below average. Now classification, as just now I have mentioned, the classification of IQ was given by Terman. So please have this clarity. The concept of mental age given by Binet, concept of IQ Stern, classification of IQ Terman. All right, so please remember this is another important point. Classification of IQ given by Terman, who gave the following classification: IQ and range category. All right, you could see here the IQ and the range categories, and probably you may be thinking why this by, because some books said 130 and above, some books said 140 and above. To avoid the that problem, I am putting it here, but you take it as either of it is acceptable answer. All right, yes, okay, let us say like this. But to remember this, to avoid the confusion, I don't start from 130, 140. Even when I teach my B.Ed students, I do start in the middle. Okay, because we are all familiar with this, right? Average IQ is 90 to 110, a landmark point. Average IQ is yes. So average is 90 to 110. Keep this as a base point. Perfectly, you can remember this. 90 to 110 is average. Just above it, 111 to 120, above average. 120 to 130, or in some books 120 to 140, superior or very high. That is the nomenclature used. Very high, some say high. Okay, all this. And then above 130 or above 140, it is gifted or genius. Now once you have the upper side, the lower side, 70 to 90 just below the average, so it is called below average. And less than 70 is mentally challenged, who has 4 categories. 50 to 70 mild mentally challenged, and 35 to 50 moderate mentally challenged, and then 25 to 35 severe mentally challenged, and less than 25, once again this, my typist made this and I am doing corrections, that's all, don't worry. Okay, sometimes they help us, but they are also give us homework. All right, okay, so this is profound mentally challenged. These are the 4 categories in mentally challenged. All right, so what are they? What are their characteristics? What are their education implications? We have one topic called inclusive education. After these psychology topics, I'm going to move on to that. At that time further we will discuss, but otherwise for now the classification of IQ is as follows. Average 90 to 110, just above average is above average 110 to 120 or 111 to 120, and above that superior or very high is 120 to 130. In some books you will see 110 to 130 is superior very high. Even that is also okay, from book to book, author to author it varies, but the range is this, you remember. Okay, but only the doubt you may have, sir, suppose if 125 is given, what should I call? Is that above average or superior? See, above average, superior, both is given, 125 definitely comes here, superior. But both are not given, only given average, above average, gifted, below average. Then you don't have option, though it is 125, 130 also, you will go with this. That spontaneous application of existing knowledge is required. No, in book is like this, in that book is like this are told like this, in that previous paper came like this. Don't argue, at least in the exam hall. Okay, సార్ మేము ఎగ్జామ్ హాల్లో ఎవరితో ఆర్గ్యూ చేస్తాము, మేము చాలా సిన్సియర్ తెలుసా అంటే, నాకు తెలుసు మీరు చాలా సిన్సియర్, పక్క వాళ్ళతో ఆర్గ్యూ చేయరు, కానీ మీతో మీరే ఆర్గ్యూ చేసుకొని 5 minutes వేస్ట్ చేసుకుంటారు. ఐ వాంట్ టు అపీల్ దట్ ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ డూ దట్. Wherever to a question you found that there are no answer, more than one answer out of syllabus, all these are the on the spot examination distractors. Please remember that every question has equal 1 mark only. If you put all your energies, struggle for 5-10 minutes and then answer, you will not get 1.5 mark or 2 marks. 1 mark only or 0, that's all. So therefore, when you spend 5 to 10 minutes on this kind of doubtful questions and waste your time and leave another 5-10 questions unanswered, tell me, is that a wise? So it's not wise. Okay, so slight variation will be there. Try to cope up with them. Don't worry. In case of doubt, at least rule out the two. Between two, you are doing, that's a good job. 50% right. That's okay. No problem. All right. But don't engage yourself with discussion, thinking, looking this side, that side, what all other people are doing, calling the insulator. Sir, you know there is no right answer. What can he do? He only can help you if there is a technical glitch with the system. Nobody will do anything, right? All right, that's only a tip for your exam preparation. By the way, coming back to the classification of IQ as given by Terman, 90 to 110 average, 111 to 120 above average, 120, 130 or 140 superior or very high, 130 or 140 above is gifted and genius. Below average 70 to 90, less than 70 mentally challenged, where 50 to 70 mild mentally challenged or borderline. In some books or some cases this term is also used. Please do be borderline. Okay, is also the same category. Near normal, borderline. Okay, these are the names used for this. All right, okay, let it be there. Yes, mild or borderline mentally challenged, 50 to 70 we used to call mentally retarded. That's an old derogatory term. As per RT Act 2000, 1995, 2005 and 2021 latest, it's derogatory. We are not supposed to call them mentally retarded, mentally challenged or intellectually challenged. Okay, right. So 35 to 50 moderate mentally challenged, 25 to 35 severe mentally challenged, and less than 25 profoundly mentally challenged. So a question on this: if IQ of a child is 45, he belongs to the following mentally challenged category. IQ 45, what do you see? 45 is in this range, so moderate mentally challenged. So this kind of questions may be asked. They are also again direct questions. All right. So 7:57. Let me pause here. Stop. And after this, what do we have is the series of assessment of intelligence began with the intelligence tests. As I made a mention, the first intelligence test in 1905 was given by Alfred Binet, which is known as Binet test of intelligence. And then 1908 Binet Simon test of intelligence, 1911 Stanford Binet test of intelligence, then its revised versions from 1915, 16, even till today they are there. And Binet Stanford test of intelligence is one among the standard tests of intelligence. Apart from that, you have other intelligence tests. Later came many like group intelligence tests, individual intelligence tests, verbal tests, non-verbal tests. Sometimes for the students, this is one confusion: which is verbal, which is non-verbal, which is group, which is individual. Okay, so I'll give you a typical classification. Most commonly known or familiar tests under these clarifications tomorrow, and we will be continuing this session tomorrow.
We would like to know what a computers is. I'm directly jumping into the content because you are already familiar with the course and all. I don't know what type of aspirants are there in the group now, but still computers is a common topic, and since the basics of the computers, it should be known to everyone. So first we'll directly start our topic with the fundamentals of computers. I would like to share my PowerPoint presentation. So, under the knowledge of ICT, I would like to tell you some of the facts about fundamentals of computer system, basics of operating system, MS Office, keyboard shortcuts and their uses, important computer terms and abbreviations.
Ma'am, sorry to disturb you, but we can't see the screen, ma'am.
Yeah, is it okay now?
No, ma'am, we can't see
Now
the
it's
screen.
not. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
shared.
One second, one second. Yes. Include in this topic is fundamentals of computer system, basics of operating system, MS Office, keyboard shortcuts and their uses, important computer terms and abbreviations, computer networks, cyber security, and internet. So first we'll start with the fundamentals of computer system. Nowadays we are very familiar with the computers because everybody is using the mobile phones in which we have almost all the aspects of computers. Only the thing is computer is a wide range, it includes a wide range. Mobile we have of course many but few restrictions are there in it also. But as you are familiar with using mobile phones, I think this topic also will be easy for you all. On and off, you may have some technical terms to be understood, but I think it will be very easy for you all to understand. So we'll start with the topic fundamentals of computer system. First of all, what is a computer? Generally, we know that a computer is an electronic device that process data. Data means as a user, we are called as the users, the human beings who we are using the computer. So we are going to give some data to the computer. So that data is being processed by the computer and it performs so many tasks inside it and gives out the result as we require. We even give the instructions to the computer in what way we want the result. So finally, we can say that we can define otherwise a computer is an electronic device that processes data and performs tasks. That is information useful to the people it gives out. So the main characteristics of computers is one is the speed. You already know about that. It processes so many of instructions, millions of instructions within a fraction of a second. So that no other calculator or no other human being can match for it. So that is the speed of a computer. And the next one is accuracy, means to give the correct results. It produces precise results, means it gives correct mistake. It never gives a wrong answer. If by mistake, if we think that we get a wrong answer, that will be only because of the user's mistake. Either it will be mistake in the data given by us or in the steps what we have or in the instructions what we have given to the computer. It is highly or completely mistake done by the user but not the system always, I mean the computer always gives a correct result. Okay, then the third one is memory. Memory means it is something like a brain, something like what we remember everything in our brain. So even a computer has such a thing. So it stores so much of information in it, so much of data in it, which you can't even imagine. About this memory, we'll learn in detail afterwards. It has got a lot of memory, which in what terms we are going to understand it and how much memory it is going to store and everything. In general, we can conclude that a large encyclopedia, a number of encyclopedias or a large big library it can store within a small space. That is about the memory. And some more characteristics are the diligence. Computers, generally, we human beings, when we work for a long time, we get tired, isn't it? And sometimes we get even lost in our concentration also. We can't do a work for a longer time. Whereas computers, they can do for hours together. For hours together, they can, without any tiredness, they do the work again. And repeated works also. Sometimes, see, if we have to do one or two works repeatedly, we get bored, isn't it? But a computer doesn't have such boring or something like that. It has full concentration without any confusion. It does all the work. It doesn't get deviated also by any other disturbances or something like that. So that is called as the characteristic is called as diligence. Another one is versatility. Computers can perform a wide variety of tasks. Like we human beings do one task at a time. Probably, like most of the housewives, or while they're cooking, they may do two or three tasks at a time, side by side, isn't it? But that is also actually one task at a time, because we wait and in that time we do something else. But that is not with computers. Computers can perform a number of tasks at a time. In the same time, they can do a number of things. For example, you might have heard, or you might even you might be doing it. Like you might be playing a audio clip, listening to that, you will do some other chatting or something like that in the phone, isn't it? So that is called two things you are doing at a time. Likewise, computers also does a number of tasks at a time. And another characteristic is the power of remembrance. That is nothing but almost equal to the memory itself. Computer can store large information, unlike human beings. That is almost like a memory itself. And remembrance means it cannot delete its memory. Of course, memory we have types also, in which something gets lost immediately and some does not get lost. They retain for a longer time. So anyway, computers can load, can keep it in their system for a longer time. Any years or more than number of years, it can store and keep it. So these are the few characteristics of computers. Is it okay? Is my language is okay? Am I going speed, or is it okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. We'll go on with the next slide then.
Fine, perfect, ma'am. Please carry on.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So just we'll see the basic structure of a computer. This is the basic structure. Generally, what we, even a small child can understand that. That is called as the structure of a computer. The middle part you can see, this is called as a CPU. So actually the system what we call, or the computer, is actually the CPU actually, okay. What the computer does, whatever we talk, everything relates everything about the CPU only. The external devices through which the wires we connected are the input and output devices. Okay, memory unit is also sometimes inside the computer, I mean inside the CPU, or sometimes outside. That also while dealing with computer I'll teach you all. Now, starting with the first one, input unit. Input unit is the word itself describes something to give in it, inside it, to give something to it, okay, to the system. That is called as the input unit. So, what we give input, we give some instructions to it, some data to it, we give it. Okay, for example, we'll take a small mathematical calculation. For example, we have to do 2 plus 3. Okay, so 2 plus 3 means we have to give the data as 2 and 3, and other instructions that we are giving to the system as that you have to add 2 and 3 and give me the result. That is the instruction. So these are the things we are going to give it through input units. So input units also, we have the most of the things we all know, the keyboard and the mouse. These are the two basic things which we use it to give the instructions or to give data to the computer. And then the other end, completely right end, you can see the output unit. This is the output unit. So output unit is what we get it as a result. Like we took the example as 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Okay. Now 2 plus 3 is the input, plus that is doing the operation arithmetic, I mean addition is also an instruction. Now output unit is after doing all this calculation, it gives the result as 5. Now 5 is our output. In what form it will give it? Immediately on the screen it is being displayed, isn't it? Sometimes we take it that into the printout, print using printer also. So that is called as the output. The final result is called as the output. So that can be on the screen or in the printer or some other devices. So that is about the output unit. This is the basic thing. So input, we are giving something to the computer, asking the computer to do some operation and give us the required form of result for us. That is output. Okay. Now we'll see what happens in the CPU inside. Inside the CPU, you can see actually there are three main components: control unit, arithmetic logic unit, and the memory unit. All the three are included in the CPU. Okay, so before going further to the CPU, you can see a small picture here about the input devices and the output devices. Input devices, keyboard you all know, mouse also you might be knowing it. Scanner is another one. When you get a Xerox or something like that in a Photoshop or something like that, you might have seen a scanner also, isn't it? So, and similarly, a microphone also, we sometimes give a voice input also. So these are called as the input devices, what we give it to the system, to the computer. And the output devices are the examples are the monitor, that is the screen on which we are seeing. So this slide you are seeing it on the screen, that is the monitor. Printer also you might be knowing it. We take the printouts of it, which we call it as the hard copy sometimes. And the speakers are the audio outputs. Headphones also you might be knowing it. Those are also the output of the voice. So these are the examples for input and output devices. Now we'll continue with the middle part, that is actual what the computer is doing and what happens in the inside the computer, that we call it as the CPU. Abbreviation is CPU, Central Processing Unit. Now, CPU is also called as the brain of the computer because the actual processing is done here. Okay, actual processing means whatever instructions or the data we give, that will be it need not be in an organized manner. Okay, and sometimes it may have lot of instructions to be done. So everything it takes through the input and does some processes. That processing part is called as the brain of the computer, otherwise CPU. So this is called as a core component of the computer, the main essential part of the computer. So what does this do? This does all the instructions and the process all the data. Again, it consists of three main components, and the components are ALU, Arithmetic Logic Unit, Control Unit, and Memory Unit. We'll see what, as the word describes, Arithmetic Logic Unit. Arithmetic is all the about the mathematics, isn't it? Mostly the four binary operations, plus, minus, multiplication, and division, such things, and the logic unit also. Some logical things also it does it, like comparisons, greater than and less than, or to find such comparisons also it does it. So that part is done by the arithmetic and logic unit. Then the control unit. This control unit actually coordinates all the operations from one part to another part inside the CPU. Okay, inside the CPU, generally when you open it, you see so many hardware parts in it. So the control unit takes all the condition, I mean, it coordinates with all the operations in it. For example, immediately when you're giving some input, as we took an example as 2 plus 3, it has to do it. So 2 and 3 we are giving it the input, and our operation we are asking it to do the addition. So what does this control unit do? It takes in from the input, it takes the input that is data 2 and 3, and the instructions also immediately it takes and put it in a memory. A short memory will be there, in that it will put it, and then it will give it to another component where it has to do the addition part. After it does the addition part, then it immediately has to send it on to the screen, isn't it? So this is what happens inside the control unit. It takes hold of the input device and the screen and the memory, all the internal parts, whatever are there, it just coordinates between all of them and executes what we are asking it to do it and gives it on the screen. So it takes control of all these internal components. That is the role done by the CPU, I mean, sorry, control unit. Okay, then the memory unit, it all, this memory unit also, it has some hardware parts like called registers in it. Inside that registers, the data what we are given like 2 and 3, and the operation, the instruction that it has to add, such instructions and the data, everything is stored in a memory unit. It takes into a particular location called registers. That is a hardware actually. It takes it and places it in that, that is called as a memory. It holds it for a temporarily and thus does the processing part. And after processing is done, the result 5 what we have taken the example 5 is again stored on the this temporary memory itself, temporary locations itself. Then it releases onto the screen. So initially it has to have some memory like thing, a place where to store all the input data, the instructions what to be done, and the output, that is the result also. So everything is stored in a particular place. So that is called as a memory unit, right? So what are these are the three things. Arithmetic logic unit does all mathematical calculations and the comparisons part, logical reasoning, everything it does it. And the control unit is just, it coordinates between all the components inside the CPU. And memory unit is just, it is a place to store all the data, instructions, whether it is from the input and again the result also. So this is about the three main components in the central processing unit. And in brief, this is just a summary. In brief, what does this CPU is doing? It is fetching, decoding, and executing cycle is being rotated. That means fetching means it is taking data from the input. That is called fetching. To take is called as to fetch. Okay, decode. Decode is nothing but doing some calculation part. Like as we have taken the example 2 and 3. So that decoding means it actually decoding is another big topic. I would like to add some points here. Like, for example, you are giving 2 and 3. The system may not understand 2 and 3. because as we said in the beginning, a computer is an electronic device. Now when you say it is an electronic device, it just works on the power, isn't it? The source of energy is just the power, input power. So generally for the power we have on and off as the two states of the power, isn't it? Just on and off. So a computer doesn't understand what is 2, what is plus, and what is 3. It just understands that to have the power or not to have the power. So what this decoding is done is 2 is converted into another code like thing. We call it as a ASCII code. Actually, it converts into the binary form. Binary form means binary. BI stands for 2. Binary means 2. So power on and off are the two states of power. So on is 1, off is 0. So computer understands only ones and zeros. Okay, so the number 2, when we are giving it, 2 is also converted into the binary number system in the forms of 1 and 2, 1 and 0, I mean. So if anyone is of a mathematical background, they will be easily understanding it, a binary number system. And what we are using is a decimal number system from 0 to 9 as the digits, whereas binary number system, anything, any number, any alphabet, everything is converted in the form of ones and zeros. So a system can understand only ones and zeros. So if you are giving a 2 and 3 as the input, it converts 2 into an 8-digit format of ones and zeros, and again 3 as a 8-digit format of ones and zeros. Okay, about this again I'll teach you when we learn about the memory of it. For time being, you just take it as a system just decodes it into its own language. Now, our language is English. We are speaking in English, but a system cannot understand English. It understands only about ones and zeros. So it converts everything into that binary system. It decodes into its own language and then executes the instructions what we give. So this cycle goes on till it gives the result for us. So this is the basic cycle we call what the CPU is doing it. It takes the instructions from the input device, stores it in memory, decodes it, then completes the execution part. Okay, I hope you understood. The
Yes.
next is about
Yes, ma'am.
yes. The next is about the cache memory. This is also important to explain here. Though the memory is a different topic, we'll learn afterwards. This is a actually what do we call as a temporary store memory. It's also called as a temporary memory because as we are initially giving input through the keyboard or a mouse initial instructions, immediately it is going into a cache memory. Okay, that memory is called as a temporary memory. It just stores there for a time being and then processes the instructions whatever it is done. And what happens is actual memory inside the CPU we have RAM and ROM, everything will have. But this cache memory is something like a, imagine like an attender near a principal. Okay, if an attender is there near a principal, what is his role? The principal gives an instruction to get a ask one teacher to bring a file or bring a register from the teacher. This attender will go to the teacher, ask the teacher, and brings the file or the register from the teacher and give it to the principal, isn't it? So what happens is the principal need not go to the teacher, or the teacher should know that the principal requires a register and the teacher has to come and give it, isn't it? It takes lot of time. What does the attender do? Immediately he will do it. And if it is a routine task, without the principal asking itself, the attender will be ready with all the things, ready with all the registers, isn't it? That is how this cache memory will do. It is so fast giving of the instructions to the system where and when required. So it acts something like an attender, very ready to access. Okay, in this way it saves lot of time taking it from the main memory and bringing back to the calculation part or bringing back to the instructions, perform the instructions, and again store it in the main memory. It takes lot of time. So to avoid such time, a cache memory is useful. Okay, it just does the perform. It does like a attender, very close to the instructions and all. Then we'll learn about how a CPU is being measured, or how it is assessed actually. The CPU is measured in gigahertz. Hertz is the for the sound we take. The speed we take the unit as hertz. This is gigahertz means for a particular second how much fast a CPU can perform. That means how many instructions it can perform in a single second is decided. That is called as a gigahertz. Okay, so how far the CPU fastness is decided by the number of instructions per second, how many instructions it can do it. That is called as the fastness of the CPU. It is measured in gigahertz. Okay, so finally what we can conclude as a summary is CPU works in conjunction means combining all them, linking with them, coordinating with them, the input output unit, memory unit. These are the main three things to perform its functions. So this is called as the CPU, the brain of the computer, the core of the computer organization. The main part is the CPU. Okay, so that is why it is called brain of the computer. And the input devices and the output devices are, some are inbuilt and some are you can attach it with the peripherals or attach it to the system through the wires. So we'll see now the basic words very commonly used, actually, the hardware and the software. These words we use it in many of the aspects related with computers. Hardware is nothing but the physical component or the tangible component. It means which you can touch. The perception of touch is called a tangibility. So the things which you can see with your eyes and touch it, those are called as a physical components. In computers, we call them as the hardware. So literally you can see the examples are keyboard, monitor, the hard drive with the CPU, otherwise what we see as a big box like thing beside a computer. So these are some of the examples for hardware. So you can see some of the examples of hardware: the monitor, the speakers, keyboard, mouse, UPS, uninterrupted power supply is that a UPS. The main board or the motherboard it is called, which is inside the system, this one. Okay, and so many other CPU. This is hard disk, RAM, sound card, DVD drive. So these are some of the examples which you can see and you can touch them, isn't it? So those are called as the hardware. So it just gives a structure, that is the body of the computer. So without hardware anyway, we cannot operate anything. So hardware is a very essential thing. But hardware, it just works when you give some instruction, isn't it? Example, we said 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 and 3, a hardware cannot do. We have to give the instruction. So that is called as a software. The data, 2 and 3, and that it has to do the addition, the instruction, that is called as a software. So unless you give 2 and 3, it is just a box like thing which is of no use, isn't it? So hardware works only with the help of software only. So two more characteristics about the hardware. So a hardware generally is prepared or designed by a hardware engineer. We call such person as a hardware engineer. He develops it, taking the raw material, builds hardware devices, the keyboard, mouse, etc. So the person is called as a hardware engineer. And you might have heard about the viruses also when you are dealing with computers. But a hardware is never affected with a computer, but hardware takes instructions from, I mean, through the what we call it as a software. So that software can get affected by the viruses. Okay, so in that way it can control the hardware also, because once the software got corrupted, the hardware cannot perform the task, isn't it? For example, if I give 2 plus 3, I want 2 plus 3 as the answer, and that is my software as 2 and 3 as the data and the instruction that it has to add. Now, by mistake, instead of saying add, it has taken something else. So it won't give me the result as 5, isn't it? So in that way, the software, when it is being affected by virus, then definitely the hardware, what is working on the depending upon the software, may affect the hardware also. But in general, the hardware doesn't get spoiled. Okay, it doesn't get spoiled in any case. So what are the physical upgrades? Sometimes you require them to remove or replace it also. That also can be done with the hardware. For example, you require much storage, so you can remove the old one and install a new hard drive. Okay, sometimes it can be added also sometimes. So in that way, it requires to be upgraded. And upgradation can also be done for hardware also. Now we'll see what a software is. As we have already talked much about software also, it is just a set of instructions. Like as I said in our example, it is doing addition, data is something like 2 and 3. So generally under program is, you might be heard about some many computer languages, or the which they write the particular program. They have a computer language, using that they write a program is actually again a set of instruction to perform a particular task. For example, to perform an addition, doing a simple addition, to do a simple addition, what it does, it has to take number one data, number two another data, store them in the memory, then do addition for it. Okay, that is a simple program, three steps program to do a simple operation called addition. Okay, again that is the set of instructions itself. So this is about the software. It is just a simple set of instructions. Sometimes it can be stored in digitally also. Digitally means in the form of ones, twos, in the number form. Okay, coded instruction that are stored digitally. You can't physically touch it, but you can see them, see its effect, and use it. Like you are in the phone also, you'll be typing something, isn't it? So many documents you see, so many files you see in the system, or I mean in your phone also. So everything, whatever you're seeing on the screen and typing, everything is called as the software itself. Okay, unless you put it on a paper, you take the printout of it. That is called as a hardware. That is hard copy, we call it, isn't it? So whatever you see on the screen, the instructions, whatever you give it to it, what the data, whatever you give it to it, and the result, what you obtain it on the screen, everything is called as the software itself. Okay. Now, without software, hardware is just a collection of internal parts, actually, isn't it? As we said earlier, the hardware cannot do anything by itself unless you give some data or the instructions that is taken by the hardware and it performs. Actually, performance means it just passes on to from one hardware device to another hardware device where the operation or the execution does. So in that way, the hardware works. It provides the commands for the hardware to do so and so task. Okay, and the one who is preparing such instructions or writing a code, or what we call it as a program, so such things, whatever is done, is the person behind it is called as a software engineer. He is a responsible person for developing and testing these programs. You might have heard about software engineers nowadays. Okay. Now, what the other requirements or the characteristics underlying is, it is susceptible to virus also. Easily, the software catches up viruses when we are on the internet, and some malicious programs get, automatically involved in our softwares also. Many times we have a firewall also for them to protect us from such malicious programs also. But still, though we take so many precautions nowadays, as the technology is improving, there are many viruses getting attacked by the programs also. So there is a highly very risk of getting easily manipulated, whereas hardware doesn't get manipulated, it doesn't get virus, whereas the software easily catches up virus. And similarly, even softwares can be updated, and often through the internet. Sometimes you can update the softwares also. The old softwares we can replace it by the new one. Okay, so that is actually the new ones always will be in a developed mode, which has many more features in it, many advanced features you get it in it. So in an upgraded version, you get most of the softwares. Very rarely we replace the hardware. We never replace actually. Very rarely it happens. But software, we know on and off we keep on. Upgrading them. So updates we get it. The last, for example, you take a washing machine. Initially, when we had a washing machine, it used to just wash the clothes and leave it there. People used to take it out and rinse and then put it in a dryer. But now we have all the latest things in it. Even it gets rinsed, it lets out the water in it, and it dries it up also. So that is called as the latest version. Similarly, the software also gets the latest versions always, so which you can easily update it on and off. Now, the software is of two types: system software